Welcome back to Real Estate Investing for Life. I am Jonna Weber, and today we're going to tackle a question that I've heard so many times, and I think that you will gain a lot of clarity on really what to look for here. The question that I've heard many times when I've been in rooms with newer investors is, what is the most expensive real estate investing mistake that you can make? And when I've posed this question back to others, a lot of people say things like buying a bad property, overpaying, getting a really bad tenant, a corrupt contractor, and I hear this one a lot, buying at the wrong time. And that's a whole nother topic for another time. But a lot of newer investors, or would be investors, I should say, are afraid they're buying at the peak of the market. So they're going to wait, and then they wait 2 or 3 more years, and the market is even stronger and the prices are higher. So that's a whole nother topic. But these mistakes can absolutely cost money, and I'm not discounting that. But after over 23 years of investing, I don't think they're the most expensive mistakes. Truly, the most expensive mistake that I've seen is spending years pursuing a strategy that doesn't align with the life that you actually want. And I'm going to share something kind of personal here, a wake-up call per se, that hopefully that some of you might be able to relate to. But my personal story is that I spent well over a decade, closer to 13 years actually, being a very busy real estate agent, and was very successful at it, and even had a great real estate team. And everything looked great on paper, and on the sidelines, my real estate portfolio was doing well. Everything was successful by all accounts. And I really had a period of my life where I had more opportunities than ever before. But here was the reality that I was afraid to say out loud. Many, many days I was exhausted. I was constantly busy. I always felt behind as a busy working mom. I sometimes, actually many times, had too many commitments, too many opportunities, too many responsibilities, and too many shiny objects. And even though I was present a lot of the time, I wasn't truly present. And I wasn't failing, but I was succeeding at things I probably shouldn't have been doing. You see, I had gotten away from my original goals and the strategy that I thought would work for me. My original goal when I became a real estate agent was to replace my teaching salary, which unfortunately did not take much. And my goal was to fund my children's education and give myself the total flexibility to be widely available for my family. And what happened along the way is I plugged into coaching, I plugged into training, masterminds, et cetera, to reach that level of success. I didn't just reach it, I exceeded it. But soon I found myself with too much opportunity. And the fact is that more can actually pull you away from the life you're trying to create. And I realized that. And it's so important that, if possible, you realize that sooner than later. I'm going to talk about the real cost of a decision. When it comes to real estate investing, most investors evaluate opportunities based on money, which is what we've been taught to do, and it's very important. We ask questions like, how much cash flow is there? What's the return? What's the cap rate? What's the upside? But I think really we should be asking a different question, and that is, what is this opportunity going to cost me? Not in dollars, but in time, energy, and attention. Every opportunity requires time, effort, and attention, and those are real finite resources. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time. There's this thing called the shiny object trap, and if you have been involved with real estate investing for any amount of time, you've probably heard that term, and that is going after almost everything. And here's what I see investors do all the time. They are inundated by people in their inbox and in their social media and at conventions, all kinds of things. They hear about Airbnb. Then they hear about self-storage, and then flipping, syndications, commercial, development, mobile home parks. Every strategy sounds and can be amazing, especially when someone is standing in your phone looking at you, chatting on a reel, or talking on stage about their success. But the problem is, you may have never stopped long enough to ask, is this actually the right strategy for me? A strategy can totally be successful and it can be trending all over the place, but it could still be wrong for you. Here's a very simple example. There's two investors. Investor number one is a busy, successful business owner, has multiple young kids, very little free time, gets 6 hours sleep at night if they're lucky, but they want long-term wealth. And then you've got investor number two. She wants to leave her full-time job, loves real estate, and wants and needs active income. Should they have the same investing strategy? Of course not. Absolutely not. But this is what happens often. Many people try to copy someone else's roadmap, and they borrow someone else's goals, and they borrow someone else's definition of success. But guys, the better question, instead of asking, what's the best real estate strategy, you need to ask, what kind of life am I trying to build? Follow up with questions like this. What do I want my days to look like? How much involvement do I want? How much risk am I comfortable with? How much free time do I want? What season of life am I in? And what season, and sometimes this is the most important, is my family in? Today, my answers are so different than they were 10 years ago, and that's okay because strategies can and should evolve as life evolves. There is something called the compounding advantage of clarity. One thing I've noticed is that investors who build significant wealth aren't usually doing the most complicated things. In fact, they're doing really simple things consistently. I remember back in 2014, I was blessed to be a guest on the Bigger Pockets podcast. And if you're not familiar with Bigger Pockets podcast, it was a huge force in teaching the basics of real estate investing to probably millions. So I was on this show, and the founder of Bigger Pockets said that my investing strategy was boring. But you know what? That's okay, because I take solace in the fact that the most successful investors are often doing simple things consistently. That same thing is true in business, is true in so many of the habits of life, doing simple things consistently. And the reason that these investors are building significant wealth is because they know what they're building. They aren't constantly changing direction. They aren't chasing every opportunity. They're really aligned. And clarity creates consistency. Consistency creates compounding. So after 23 years of real estate investing, here's what I really believe. The most expensive mistake isn't just buying the wrong property, but it's spending years climbing the ladder only to discover it was leaning against the wrong wall. So here's my call to action. This week, I want you to spend 15 minutes thinking about one question. What am I actually trying to build? Not the next deal, not the next tactic, not the next shiny object, the bigger picture. Because once you get clear on the life you want, your investing decisions become so much easier. And that's when real estate starts serving your life instead of consuming it. Real estate is such an incredible tool for building wealth, but at the end of the day, wealth isn't the goal. Wealth is simply a tool that helps us spend more time on the things that matter most. I am passionate about helping you identify what matters most to you and determine what real estate investment strategy works with you to support that. If you want to have a conversation about this, I really believe that the best way to get started in real estate investing is to know where you want to end up. You can hop on over to jonnaweber.com/book a strategy call. We'll get set up, we'll have this conversation, and you'll be on your way. If you enjoyed this episode, please go back and enjoy our previous ones. And the biggest compliment you can have for this show is to like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Go and grow, and we'll see you next time.